Might need another battery. Get the other side. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, look at all the rust on there. Needs cleaned off. It's on the wheel too.
Yeah. Plenty of brake dust on there.
That's not brake dust. That's rotor material, caliper. Look. Okay, first things first. We're going to start with the bolts that hold the caliper on. On this truck there is 16 millimeter, which I have a 14, but they're 16 millimeter. Take both of them out. I already cracked them loose. And then that'll get the caliper out. Before I take those out completely, I need leverage to get this bolt loose here to the caliper hose. This one happens to be a 14, so I'll go ahead and pull that out and let that kind of drip into the pan here. New caliper will come with a new copper crush washer right here, so we'll want to take that off. Now that's out of the way, get our bolts out, and hopefully the caliper comes out pretty easy. You guys own snap-on wrenches, you know what they're for. Pry bar. I think that's a blatant abuse of a tool, isn't it?
Nah.
But you can see how crusted up it is in here on the slides. When we put this truck together as a four-wheel drive, we changed out the U-bolts and we added this block from the F250 four-wheel drive. This was the original rear end from the truck, and we didn't do anything with it because it had good brake pads on it, so we thought we'd just let it go until, oh boy, it's tough. This is a 21 millimeter. This is why I like that bent neck on that ratchet. Makes it a little easier to get in some of the places. That's better. Grab that impact on the other side. Normally I wouldn't hit them on the side if we're going to machine them, but I just try and hit it here. But these are going in a scrap pile, so. There's a lot of rust in there. Get some in the back of them holes. If that don't suit the bill, fit the bill, do it a different way. so I'm going to hit this with the air hammer. It's going to be a little bit loud. Usually you can hit it a couple times, it'll come loose. Looks like the parking brake is coming with it. Yep. Look at the parking brake, he'd come loose. It was rubbing on the inside of the rotor, which would be the brake drum.
Was it that, or was it the axle stud or the wheel studs?
No. Well, this was rubbing in here somewhere on the edge because it's not that close to the wheel stud. But you can see what happened. The back of the backing plate's just rusted away, which we're just going to take this off because when we change rear ends out, you know, the other one will have good parking brakes. So we'll just disconnect these brakes and take them out, being as though we're going to be taking this apart again. Keep stepping on my light. Alright, we'll get this apart. Okay, so you saw how they were difficult to get off. A lot of that is because it gets rusty right in here. So we'll take a nice sharp screwdriver and I try and get all that crud out of there. So all the way around. And then I'll put never seize there. And then right in here, I'll take this grinder. I'll use a flapper wheel and get around there and get it cleaned. And when I put the new one back together, I'll put a little never seize on there too, so we won't have to fight the new one when we go to change this over. And we don't have to worry about damaging the rotor. So I'll get this cleaned up. Look how bad that inside that rotor was. Does that show up?
Not really. That kind of does.
Yeah, you can see where it's been hot and flaking. There's been a caliper dragging. And look here at what to do with the brake pads. Here they are. You can see how much more is on the outside than the inside. And you can see how cruddy it is where the slides are supposed to move around, where the pads can move. So this pad was hanging up. So you should have a lot better brakes when we're done. Alright, I'll get this cleaned up.
This is the way we're going to do it. Instead of messing around with getting rotors turned and replacing one caliper and whatnot, we're going to get 2 brand new rotors, 2 brand new calipers, and a brand new set of Napa premium brake pads. They cost a little bit more, but they're well worth the investment in my opinion. They're much better if you hook anything to the back of the truck and tow with it. It's easy to get it going, not always easy to get it stopped. So she's getting a bunch of new parts on her, and we'll take you along with us when we put them on.
Don't clean the inside of that drum since nothing's going to be on it. Just leave that film on it. Might help protect it, keep it from rusting before we put the rotors on the other axle. So that'll be good. He did the bottom first so he could flip it over and not lay that machine surface back down and get it dirty. So now we got the axle cleaned up, the hub I should say, where that slides on. So that's next. Alright, so the flange is all never seized. I got never seized on all the studs now. So now we're going to move on to getting the new calipers set up. And we use a anti-squeal spray for the back of the brake pad. So I'll get all that set up and we'll show you the calipers in a second. We got double hardware because this is the Napa caliper. It comes with their hardware, a new bolt for the hose, and 2 new crush washers. So first thing I'll do is take our brake pads out. This is the bag that the one rotor came in. And then this is what we use. Just brake quiet. Keeps the squeal and vibration down. I think really what it does is keeps the brake pad stuck to the caliper pistons and the caliper itself. So as it moves with it. You can shake it up real good. It's pretty cold in here, so probably not going to spray normal. It should have been in a heated place, but usually it sprays out better than this. But it's cold. that'll basically turn into a real sticky, like a high-tack spray. I'll let it sit for a little while I prep the calipers. So what we'll do here, you can see why I use a bag. Thought you already cracked that one loose.
No, I didn't get to it.
We won't even talk about that.
Well, anybody who's going to watch this knows that it's not your M-word tool.
I have a few, but not many. And as soon as I am able to upgrade them, I will. These we'll throw off to the side, and we'll keep them in case we need them for later. These are the ones we'll use because we want this bolt in the crush washer anyways. It's not like we may never need, you know, some disc brake hardware for a Superduty.
Who drives one of those?
All the cool people. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is, you can see the slides in here. I'm going to lay them in with never sees on both sides before I put that bracket in. What I left over here.
I assume since these are probably remanufactured calipers and brackets, that's why it has forward on it, right?
Yeah. I imagine. I just like to, you don't need to gob this on. It only takes a thin layer of this stuff. I mean, any more than that, you're just making a mess. I really don't like never sees. I've always hated never sees. It has its place, but man, you get a little bit on a finger that you didn't see, you didn't get wiped off. By the time you're done, it's everywhere.
You're coming out of the garage looking like a Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz.
Maybe something like that. Just like that. I usually wipe this off every time I use it. And get all the never sees off. Because I'm a big sissy. And I don't like, it's not tacked up yet, we need a little more on there. I put them all together like this so I'm not spraying the side of the brake pad. So we'll let that dry a little bit, we'll bring it back. I'm trying to get it set into place like this so that when I set the caliper on, it's gonna go where it belongs. Turn this one like this. That way I can put this on as an assembly over the rotor rather than trying to fumble with it on the truck. I don't know, I guess it's to each their own. Okay. Tighten that up once it's on the truck. Now, here's our new bolt. One of the washers. Where'd the other one get to? There it is.
Use that one so you find it.
Alright, so set it on.
Suppose I ought to grab the light.
Okay. Slide these in. Line her up. Try and get the top one first, if I can. Go. That way it'll hold it. And I get onto the bottom. We're not leaking much brake fluid because the proportioning valve probably shifted. Now I'm going to clean that up real good before we put it in. Grab a wire brush here. Just want to make sure there's no dirt in there. You see how dirty that is around it? Hose that off. Wipe it down. Just make sure there's nothing laying in them grooves there. And then start with our new bolt. Again, you want to make sure there's nothing in there. First copper washer goes on like this, and the second one goes on the back. These are a one-time use. You're not supposed to reuse them. Once they crush and they seat, the likeness that it'll leak again is pretty high if you reuse it. I could use a ratchet on this, but it's not going very far. Hey, now I guess I need an 18 ratchet. I think that's 18.
No, that's 17.
Grab 17, 18 in case I'm wrong. Look at that, I was wrong. You took my 13, 16. For anybody that wonders why my impact looks like this, and it's not all nice and clean and new looking, it's because I use it. Right? I mean, I use the crap out of this thing.
You use that thing so much you make used tools look not used.
Yeah. So make sure it's good and tight. German tight. Guten tight. Okay. Now we'll crack the bleeder on this side. Yeah, it probably won't drip anything, but at least it's open. If it does, the side will get a start. So we want to lift the hood, put some brake fluid in it because we don't want to drain the reservoir. So we'll do that, and we'll get the other side done. We'll bring it back when we're bleeding brake. Okay, so we got new calipers on, new brakes, they're all bled out. Now we're going to put the wheels back on. You see we put never sees on the studs. And of course there's what's left of the piston and that caliper. I don't know if it just got so hot, got stuck and started breaking. Kind of guessing that's what's happening. But as you can see, it's all back together with all nice and new and ready to go again. And again, we never seized underneath here too, so it should be easy to take apart. So let's get the wheels back on. go for a test ride.
Well, here we are, boys and girls. She's all put back together. Cruising down the road here. Let's see, I got her up to, it's about 5 miles off. I've got it up to about 35 miles an hour. And, oh no, there's a stop sign. And guess what? We're stopping. We're stopping well before the stop sign. We got the brakes all bled out. They're all bled out. Everything's replaced. Everything's put back together and tight the way it belongs. Giving her a little test drive to make sure, you know, we didn't forget anything. Because, you know, that does happen from time to time. But yeah, she seems to be doing all right. I'm try out the brakes yet again. Oh yeah, just almost stand her on her nose. That's how she belongs. Alrighty, well, I don't know how my father usually wraps this up, but that's all, folks. If you like what we're doing, thumbs up, subscribe, like. You can even share it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever you fellas do these days. Like, comment, subscribe, share, whichever. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.